are the songs of just some of the birds that flock to this fruit. Born by a tree so gifted in Ayurvedic value from root to shoot that it was bestowed with the name of one of the Holy Trinity of Hinduism. Surrounded by lore and mystique, it is spread far and wide over the subcontinent, majorly responsible for providing shade in our metropolitans. But still, its fruit is rarely seen on the urban Indian plate. But why? The answer lies in the story of a 34 million year old relationship between a tiny insect and a giant who cannot survive without each other. Children in rural areas of the Gangetic Plain sometimes spend idle days searching for the elusive Goolar flower. Folklore says that those who find it are destined to find treasure or rule a flourishing kingdom. The truth is that the Goolar, like all other members of the fig family, has only flowers. It doesn't fruit. This is a pseudo fruit. It's a collection of flowers that are just hidden inside a fleshy sphere. Since there's no fruit, the seed producers here are the flowers. Because so many birds and animals enjoy eating them, dispersal of these seeds is easy. But for seeds to form, the hidden flowers first need to be fertilized, and that requires special talent. The fig wasp, Goolar's only pollinator. Now I know some of us have toned down our fears of bees by getting educated about their ecological importance. But even we can't get over the fact that wasps can sting multiple number of times. So when I say wasps, it can be a little off-putting. But these guys won't hurt. They're small, and in their small lives they have a lot of work to do. They're in such a tight relationship with this tree that the survival of both their species depends on it. It's a textbook example of what biologists call mutualism. They're literally nursing each other's babies. So here's what happens. A fertilized female wasp, who is also carrying pollen, flies in and climbs into the fig through an opening. But it's a tight opening, and to squeeze through, she has to abandon her wings outside. Now inside the fig, there are male, female and sterile flowers. The sterile flowers provide food for the female wasp, and she leaves the pollen she has couriered in with the female flowers, allowing them to cultivate the seeds. If she fails to make this delivery, the fruit will just fall off the tree. But if she succeeds, she gets to leave her own eggs with some of the female flowers. She then dies and gets broken down by the fruit. When the eggs hatch, the male and female mate. Then the female gets to work on the male flowers to collect their pollen in sacs on her belly. The male wasp gets to fulfilling his life's purpose, digging a tunnel wide enough to let the female escape with her wings because the Goolar's own opening is too narrow. He'll die here because he's born wingless and the female is on her own. Her flight is long enough that there's very little inbreeding in Goolar trees throughout the subcontinent. So if you take a Goolar tree and plant it somewhere on the planet where the climate is suited for it, it will survive, but without its tiny courier service, it'll never be able to propagate. In Sanskrit, Goolar is also called Sadafal because it fruits throughout the year. So in many areas it is foraged in dry summer when there is a general lack of other vegetables. And it's used to make different kinds of curries and chokha. Today we are going to make our favorite form, the kebab. You can pause the video for ingredients, but we'll also write the recipe in the description down below. Here's what you'll need. Due to the risk of insects, goolar is only eaten when it is raw and untouched. Even a slightly soft and yellow fruit is to be discarded. It also has to be eaten early after it is plucked because of its tendency to ripen within the day. This perishability is why you will never find it in a big grocery store. When it is raw, it's more of a savory ingredient. Unlike anjeer, its Persian relative, goolar is only mildly sweet when mature. So it makes no sense to dehydrate and sell the preserved version either, although it does have its uses in traditional medicine. Chop the fruit roughly. If you like, you can remove the inner part with the flowers and keep the flesh only. We're keeping everything because the fiber is probiotic. After cutting, we're going to wash the chopped fruit vigorously and then leave it to soak for 2 hours. Pharmacological studies have also found high micronutrient content of potassium, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, and iron in goolar. Unani, Siddha, and Ayurveda all recognize goolar to have cooling and anti-inflammatory properties. So, for example, that means it's great for people who get problems like nosebleeds, acidity, UTIs, or itchiness very fast. It's an alkaline food, and its young leaves, its bark, and its milk are used for ailments of the digestive tract like dysentery and ulcers. Multiple studies have found it to have cholesterol reducing properties. It's also efficient for treating different kinds of wounds and insect bites. In fact, its tissue healing powers are legendary. Hindu mythology actually has a story praising the goolar. So the story goes that when Lord Nrsimha, who is the fourth of Lord Vishnu's 10 incarnations, ripped apart Hiranyakshap, the demon king's blood was so full of poison and sin that it burned and itched uncontrollably. No matter what ointment or remedy he applied, the pain just wouldn't stop. And then he saw a goolar and impulsively reached out and plunged his claws into the bark. The milk of the tree finally gave him blessed relief. But the sins of the blood seeped into the tree, and the fruit lost its sweetness. For its service, the tree was blessed with being the earthly form of Vishnu and given one of his names, Udumbar. Anyway, it's okay that the goolar isn't sweet because these kebabs are going to be succulent and perfect for evening snacks. After 2 hours, discard whatever small bits have floated to the top and let's get started with the masala. In a pressure cooker, heat some mustard oil or any oil of your choosing. Add cumin once the oil is hot. Now that they've started spluttering, we're going to add some garlic. Let's just let the garlic sit in the oil on medium flame till it's slightly golden. And now we're going to add our onion. And saute till translucent. It's going to take about 5 minutes because we're doing all of this on medium flame. Now we'll add the chilies. They don't have to be de-seeded, but it's up to you. We'll stir for a bit till they become slightly puffy. Add the split gram. This is a binding agent. It's actually the binding agent in many kebab recipes. And now we're going to roast it for a bit. Now we'll add the turmeric. garam masala powder. I think this much makes for the right amount of spiciness, not too spicy, but you can give it a try and adjust the amount accordingly. Now we're going to add the salt. And finally, the Goolar. Stir for 2-3 minutes, make sure everything is nicely coated. And that looks good. So we're going to add water. Close the lid, switch to high flame, and after one whistle switch to low flame and continue cooking for 15 minutes. We basically don't want any leftover water. If there's still some left, then you can cook it till it evaporates. Try crushing the dal between your fingers. If it crumbles easily, the mixture is ready to be ground to a paste. Make sure to collect the paste in a bowl that can be covered with the lid. To give it a tandoori flavor, we're going to use coal or charcoal. So just place it in high flame. And while it heats up, put a small plate or katori in the center of the paste. Keep a lid for the utensil ready along with the butter. When you shift the charcoal to this plate, you have to immediately put butter over it and cover it tightly. That's it. Just leave for 10 minutes. And now, voila. Your smoky paste is ready. Wet your hands to easily shape the paste into balls and then just flatten gently in the center. You will get about 10 kebabs from this mixture. To pan fry, we'll place kebabs in hot oil and just let them sit for about a minute. You don't want to move them around, just let them form a slight crust, and then we're going to switch to medium flame. After about 4 minutes on the medium flame, just flip them over. You can use a spoon. They should be an almond color brown now. Just let the other side roast as well.